name's Jason and welcome back to I Have a Story. Today's going to be my last topic about mental and physical health, even though my whole channel is really about mental and physical health, and everything that I talk about plays into all of it. So obviously there will be more coming in the future, but as far as where all mental and physical health came from, what caused it, these are the reasons, and I have absolutely no doubt about it, and I'd like people to please share your ideas. But the last topic I want to talk about with mental and physical illness is breeding. A lot of things have taken place over history that has caused breeding to be a major issue for mental and physical health in our country. I'll link a video up here on the top. I've been talking about chemicals and what chemicals do to people, and then what happens when somebody's body, who is, especially like this poor guy here, that he's what's the proper word to put on it? Is there even one word that we could even put on what happened to this man? It's absolutely horrible. But now to think, if this man goes on and has children in the future, are those chemical imbalances in his body going to pass on to his children? Very, very likely. We look at a lot of mental and physical illnesses that we know that are passed down through our children. And I think it's horrible that people who know they have these severe illnesses and severe disorders go out and have children and know that they're going to pass them on to their kids and have their kids' lives be devastational like their own lives have been. It terribly breaks my heart because I'm in that situation myself. And I don't even get to be the parent who is the knowledgeable, down-to-earth, caring parent to actually work with my kids. Instead, they get to go down the cyclic insanity of being even more twisted. So please, people, understand my emotions here with all of this. So we put these chemicals into people's drugs. We want to hate Hitler and talk how bad the Nazis were for their chemical practices they did, treating the Germans like guinea pigs, and anybody they could find like guinea pigs to put on a table and stick a needle in them and see what these drugs do to them. Weren't we taught that Hitler was such a demon, a devil for doing that? But yet we've done it in our own country to our own people. Have you seen the video about the guy now talking about when he was in prison and they were testing and experimenting with drugs and chemicals on prison mates? Our own country has done that to our own people, but yet you all just look at Hitler as terrible, but love our government because they're wonderful. So let's look at another line of breeding. And this is one that really hit me when I moved here and found and got immersed into so many communities around me and learned the stories. And even having this wonderful dog, she was she is just a joy. She is such a playful, loving animal, but at the same time, she is a prodigy of being inbred. And in that inbreeding, she has severe physical illnesses and mental illnesses. This is a dog that has terrible skin irritations, who has, again, I talked about this dog sticking her head in a wood stove. I mean, any animal should know better than to stick their head in a wood stove. This dog did a lot of silly things because it didn't have the brain capacity not to. This is a dog that would poop right on the front porch. And people might laugh at that, and people may not understand. I know so many people in our world today because we've lost track of the real truths of nature. A dog does not poop on your front porch. If it does, then that dog has a problem. A dog naturally, instinctively knows to poop away from the house, so another animal does not come up and look for that to be an attack. That is a natural self-defense mechanism that we, even as humans, have been all obliterated in our lives. Look at somebody who's totally just off the wall and looks like a clown, we used to look at people like that and go, stay away, that's trouble. Now we've opened up the whole country and just turned them loose and said, you better accept them. That's wrong. So I know this dog was inbred, and I see what's taking place in her. She doesn't have the mind capacity, she does not have common sense, and she has a lot of physical illnesses due to it. That's part of what inbreeding does to us. Now, moving here where I live now, I have found out about so much inbreeding that has taken place here. I'm fortunate that I'm a person that people open up and talk to, and I learn the stories. So much inbreeding has taken place where I live now that it's unbelievable. People in their 30s are prodigies of being inbred. This wasn't hundreds of years ago. This is people now in their 30s that were prodigies of being inbred. And it's not going to be a video that I'm looking forward to doing, but come this November, I'm doing a video about the Indians and what I've learned about them here, and I wish it was a story I could just come out and praise the Indians, but sadly it's the complete opposite. And I'm very likely going to lose some friends over these videos, but I care more about the truth of my people than what I have to gain. And that is going to become totally transparent here in my videos. Even my counselor said, Jason, the Indians offered you their services. Why aren't you taking them? It's because I don't believe in what they do. And what they have done is completely wrong. And what has taken place here is completely wrong. People praise the Indians, and I can't speak for the Indians all over the country or the world. There's a lot I'm going to be sharing with you you don't know. But even the Indians here were raping their daughters and nieces and having children. I've seen firsthand the prodigy of what has taken place from that, and I've been to these houses and talked to these people, and it's devastational. Even more devastational that when these people had kids, these messed up, terribly, horribly bad people got to have control of the kids, and their kids' lives are devastated by it. I've been talking about this, and I'll be talking more about it because it means so much to me. But what I've seen here, one of the stories I got was there were 4 communities, and here, back when settlement first started, families took up cities, and not cities like you'd think of like Los Angeles. We're talking small towns, country towns, and families took up a whole town. There were 4 families who all settled in a square block. That hurt. They all settled in a square block. And think of, even just 30, 40 years ago, we did not have the technology today, and especially here they didn't have it for communication. Go back 60, 70 years ago, they didn't have, not even that long, 40, 50 years ago, they didn't have the opportunity for travel like they do today. So to try to communicate, understand that, what it was like to try to communicate and get out in the world, even just 40 years ago. So a dad from the one family got into a fight with a dad from the another family. There was a big dispute, and they cut ties. And they told their kids, and basically 2 families grouped up, and it was basically like a little mini war between the 2 of them, and they were not allowed to associate with one another. Think about it being a child in that situation. How do you ever find a mate in life when all you have is your family and maybe another family to choose from? Yes, people got together with family members because there was nobody else. And what I've seen take place, predominantly from what I have seen take place in these families, predominantly so many, if not the majority of the women, are bipolar, and they will admit it. They've never been diagnosed from it. I've dealt with it enough where you can see it. You spend enough time and you can see it plain as day. But even the majority of them will even admit it, but yet they don't seek help. They've never been diagnosed, they've never been treated, and they keep living a destructive life for not only them, but the people around them, and especially the children around them. What I've seen predominantly in men is epilepsy. epilepsy really is predominant in the inbreeding community, and it's mostly in men. There can be men that are bipolar, there can be women with epilepsy, but the majority that I personally have seen, men are epileptic and women are bipolar. And they all have severe mental struggles and problems. So breeding, without a doubt, has played a huge role in mental and physical illness in our country. And then we also know that epilepsy and bipolar is hereditary. It passes down through the generations after you have it. So then what happens? Even when these people move and modern society came out, those people moved or even stayed here and had more children with people who may not have been subject to these negative, terrible things. But then they have kids with other people and other people who aren't aware of this stuff. Part of why I'm doing this, you need to be aware, people. You need to make better decisions. But then they have children that are bipolar and epileptic, and who knows what all other medical conditions all follow suit with this. I mean, we really have to go back to looking at inbreeding and test and learn, but I think that's something that's just kind of got brushed under the rug. We've forgotten all about these breeding habits that took place in our world. Let's go to what we were taught in a movie, Prima Noctra.
Well, with Scotland is that it's full of Scots. Perhaps the time has come to reinstitute an old custom. Grant them prima nocte. First night, when any common girl inhabiting their lands is married, our nobles shall have sexual rights to her on the night of her wedding. If we can't get them out, we'll breed them out. That should fetch just the kind of lords we want to Scotland. Taxes or no taxes, eh?
The most excellent idea, sire.
Is it?
I tried doing some research, and there's speculation whether it really did happen or whether it was just a hoax to get people to scare people to get them to follow the rules, but I don't know. I don't know what to think. All I know is our history is crazy. People are insane. And we're even getting worse and worse just in different ways, but with the ideology that we're doing better. Wow, we're doing so much better. You remember there was a day kids actually so many kids used to carry guns to school, elementary school? You never heard of a teacher getting shot. You never heard of other students getting shot. You actually heard about kids bringing home food and dinner at 13 years old. Wow. Can we have a kid carry a gun to school today and have any sort of anything besides fear and anxiety? And no, we can't. But we're doing so much better today that we can't even trust our kids. Wow. Society's winning again. What about people who, and there was a recent headline, I think I saved it, about a woman who met a guy, moved him into her house, and then found out she grew up with him in her house and he was related to her somehow. Even as big as our world is, as many people as there are. It's amazing how small the world can actually be. So we have accidental things like that take place. That, you'd think you would know your relatives, but we don't. We also know in history there's been forced relations. Didn't we have kings and queens that forced their children into relations with other noble families because we have to keep the bloodlines straight? It really makes you question the people in power today, how inbred and twisted they are. Severe mental illness, and they without a doubt are severely mentally ill. That's what greed, money, all of it, that's what they're all concerned with. Money, power, and greed. That's all they care about. And then what happens? These genes get passed on, and then we mix more chemicals in with already twisted genes and genetics, and This has really created a snowball headed straight to hell. Along with this breeding, we look back in the history of time. All of the different races in history that have been enslaved, we know that smart ones, the ones who showed intelligence, were killed. So we have bred out intelligent people. Not we didn't do it. I shouldn't use that word. We need to stop using these words because we did not do this. But yet we're the ones being blamed for it. We know that throughout the history of time, through slavery, even the Egyptians did it, the Africans did it. The Africans did it to their own people. The Egyptians did it to their own people. That when people showed intelligence, they killed them. And they bred down a race of people by getting rid of the intelligent ones. We want to know why there's people struggling so much, and I've heard so many people ask, why are just certain groups of people complaining about what happened so many years ago that they don't even know about. They weren't here, don't even know anybody alive anymore that was still here, but yet still want to sit and complain about it. I believe this is the answer. They've been given, in our own country, we have given other people rights over us, and they still want to complain that they can't succeed. How? We want to complain that foreigners don't have rights in our own country, but yet for as long as I've been alive, they've been able to come over here, get tax exemptions, get businesses, do things that the American people don't even give to their own. So how are we going to sit here and keep saying that all these other people deserve? We'll be talking more about that in the future. But that's another point that I forgot to talk about in the breeding, because it's huge. If you take a whole race of people and eliminate the smart ones, you can't take two people with a 20 IQ and think you're going to end up with 40, and now you got two 40s that make an 80, and then two 80s that, now we're all of a sudden, sure, there is people who were smart enough to hide and not show their intelligence, so there were people who were able to bring back intelligent genes in that sense. But we need to know the truths in order to make the proper decisions and to understand and to make this world a better place. We don't hate people because of bad things that took place to them, but we also don't let them take over and run everything. We have to come to an absolute center line, and we have to do what's right for everybody. I know if I had genes that I was going to have children that were either going to be dumb, they were going to be lacking physical abilities, sick, ill, mentally ill, I know I wouldn't have gone out and had children. That's selfish. I know I would say, as much as I want to be a parent, and I guess maybe coming from somebody who wants to be a parent more than anything in the world, but yet is completely denied illegally and immorally the right to do so, maybe it hits me more than it'll hit other people. Maybe that's why I care so much, or just that I care in general.